right when I'm about to fall asleep, that's when opening up and sharing from the heart begins.
They seem to know when either you are open yourself or when what they say is going to make an impact, but you're not going to be able to spend much time on it. Because it's often as you're going out the door or they're going out the door, they'll say, by the way, and then drop a bombshell. And you've got to decide what you're going to do in that split second. Are you going to turn around and go, okay, we need to talk about this, or are you going to let the moment go?
And the easiest thing is to make the judgment, send the solution, or avoid.
Avoid. That would be an avoid one, probably.
But the better thing would be
to stop and listen.
And interrupt your own schedule.
So in the ideal world, we would like the bombshells and their deep and meaningful conversation to come on our schedule when we have a lot of energy and time, but reality is...
It won't happen.
It's not going to happen.
No, not going to happen.
Do any of us ever think, I must schedule time for my kid to actually let them have a deep and meaningful and drop their bombshells? No, we don't. We don't think that way.
And if we did, they wouldn't be ready to drop their bombshells at any rate.
No.
But on the other hand, we can try to create opportunities for the potential of deep feelings to be expressed.
Yes. And so being with them, for example, with my boys, just taking them to cricket and being with them at cricket was an opportunity. Taking them places, taking them to school can be opportunities. Doing things with them, going for a walk with them, taking them down for a milkshake or a coffee, or things like that can be opportunities. With the girls, taking them shopping is opportunities.
I used to take them to music lessons. They'd have individual music lessons, so I'd take them to music. And sometimes just take one shopping. That'd be good. They like that.
So even though they might not have opened up during that time, they knew that mom or dad was there, and I could have brought something up.
Yes.
And mum and dad were at least interested enough in me to take me with them or to have me with them as they did something. Even though I don't want to talk to mum and dad, at least there's still that sense of connection that's there that creates opportunity.
The other thing we did too was, while we recognised that they really like to spend time with their peers, we did say to them we need to have family times as well. So they needed to join in on family times and stay connected with family and with us. But a lot of parents see it as competition when they go more with their peers and tell more of their worries and whatever to their peers than they do to their parents. Often it's the parents who are the last to know their concerns.
And that's okay.
That's okay?
That's okay. Because that's what the adolescent is feeling comfortable in doing. And as long as the parent is there when the adolescent wants to talk to them, it will work. So it's not about competition with the peers. It's about recognising normality, reality. This is what is.
In actual fact, it's the parent kind of grieving the young child growing up and having to let them go. The letting go process starts way back. And in the teenage years, the teenager is now starting to realise, I'm getting to be myself and starting to grow and wanting to grow away from parents. In fact, they hate to be seen with their parents sometimes in teenage years. That reverses, and they actually like to spend time with you eventually again. So take heart, they will come back. But if we don't let them go and let them go through this process of letting go with the boundaries around them, safe boundaries, then they will have to force us to let them go, and we don't want that either.
A lot of the issues come up, I think, in adolescence because parents haven't spent the time with their children when they were little. And if we don't spend time with them when they're little and build relationship with them when they're little, they're not going to want to spend relationship with us as adolescents. And likewise, if we, as parents, don't spend time with them in those years when our children become adults and leave home, they won't want to spend time with us when we actually want to spend time with them. They're not going to want to. And so it creates hurt. So this whole thing of communication, as with every aspect of parenting, is not just something that comes in at one stage. It's got to be there right from the very beginning.
Now, in the teenage years, as we've been saying, the teenager is kind of seesawing between I'm independent, but yet I am dependent on you. And kind of, I'm not going to talk to my parents, I'm going to talk to my peers or other people, but I would kind of like to know what mom and dad think about this. So when it swings your way, and they are actually kind of opening up seize that opportunity.
Seize the moment.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's get back to your trip to Colac with your child, a captive audience for, 2-hour trip?
Yeah.
And you started to use some of your counseling techniques.
Yes, some listening skills.
So kind of walk us through some of the things that we need to know about.
Okay. I guess one of the first things is the recognition that communication is exceptionally difficult. Because there's what we mean to say, what we actually say, what we thought we'd said, what the other person thinks they hear, what they actually hear, what they think about what they think that they've actually heard that they haven't. Communication becomes very difficult. And then even the words that we use are so misunderstood.
You have a great example of miscommunication about a wife commenting on a pretty dress. Could you share that one?
You would have to remember that, wouldn't you?
It's just that I can relate to it so much.
Yeah, well, we were window shopping, and as we walked past this shop window, Helene looked through and she said, "Oh, that's a pretty dress." And I instantly replied, "We can't afford it. You can't have it." She said, "I didn't want it." I said, "Yes, you did. You said it was a pretty dress."
So let's walk through and analyze this. She communicated one thing, but you took it as another thing.
That's right. Because the way we use words is different. What we mean by the words that we use is different. So communication is not just about talking, it's about ensuring that you're understood and ensuring that we understand the other. And it's not easy. It's not easy for us as adults. Husbands and wives find it difficult to go through the process, and with couples counselling, which I do a lot of, it's always teaching them skills of communication, the skill of listening rather than reacting to what's being said. And so the important thing here is to reflect back what you've understood they've meant, not the words that they've said, because we can use the same words in totally different ways. Mm-hmm. You ever been talking about the same thing or arguing with somebody, and then at the end you find you've both been saying the same thing, only in different ways, but there's been this big argument going on.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes we're talking about something, and at the end of the day we find we're on two totally different tram tracks, but we're thinking we're talking about the same thing. Communication just simply means that we understand what the other means.
For example, if your child says, "I hate school," that could mean a million different things. How do you get them to clarify if they just make these broad generalizations?
It's about trying to identify what it is they're feeling in here. So "I hate school" could be, so there are some difficult relationships that you've got at school, or you're having trouble with some of your friends. No, of course not. Things are going well.
Or you're not understanding maths this week. It could be something like that.
Yeah, it's trying to get behind what they're meaning and reflect it back. And it might be a reflection, it may be a question. So what is it that you're finding so difficult about school? Usually parents jump to, "Well, you've just got to go."
You have no option.
Whereas it could be that week they were picked on.
Yes, they're being bullied. And if the parent doesn't really stop and listen and understand, they will never know, because we often will only get one chance at listening. And if we don't listen, the child feels rejected by us, they won't open up the next time.
Yeah, they clamp up more.
Okay. And to kind of conclude our conversation on communicating with our teenager, can you sum up the main points?
Don't judge. Don't just send solutions. Don't avoid issues. Stop and listen. Reflect back what you've understood and help the child flesh things out.
And then pray for strength to actually do these things.
You need patience, perseverance, and more patience.
And then more patience.
And more perseverance and more patience.
That's right. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Dr. Ian and Dr. Helene Richardson are with Life Builders Ministry, and if you'd like to find out more information, their website is www.lifebuilders.org.au. That's lifebuilders.org.au.
Marriage and Family Life has been brought to you by FamilyLife Australia. We hope the program has encouraged you in your marriage and family life. For more information or to listen to this program again online, our website is FamilyLife Australia, that's all one word, .com. Once there, click on Marriage and Family Life from the radio menu. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at info@familylifeaustralia.com or use our toll-free number 1800 358 6329. Thanks for listening, and please join us again for Marriage and Family Life, presented by Family Life Australia, helping people find love that lasts.